I've never picked up a comic book, but I will always have time for Spider-Man. Personal, memey, heartwarming, heartbreaking, consequential, expensive, balancing life with something you feel you must do because it's what you ought to do, how that constantly swinging pendulum affects the ones closest to you, both small scale and big. That's not a comic at all! That's learning Blender. The Raimi trilogy, the Home trilogy, Spider-Man and Miles Morales, PS4. Andrew Garfield in No Way Home. I love this character, and as you experience each iteration, you kind of get the feeling of what Spider-Man should be in your mind. You develop expectations, like, yeah, he should sound like this. This is exactly how it should be. And expectations was the heading of Miles Morales' story in Into the Spider-Verse. From the jump, Miles faced his father's expectations, his schools, his homeworks, and in one big swing, a dying Spider-Man's 10 minutes after he got bit with zero help in his world. When OG Spider-Man dies, it's on Miles' shoulders to be the new guy. How you do that? Be like Mike, right? Jump off a big building! Okay, maybe a smaller one. He says he can do it with his words, but again, with the expectations of all the Spider people, he can't do it with action because he still feels he needs to be like them. And he can't. Not everyone can pull off Noir, Grug, and the slap of God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. It is what it is. He's seeing Spider-Man, but on himself as Spider-Man. He spends all his time questioning when he'll know how he can do this, when in reality, you don't know. Just gotta like, what's up, danger? It is such a simple thing that is so hard to remember and so easy to forget, that ties together such a beautiful story that transcends the character itself. Miles becoming Spider-Man by not becoming the Spider-Man, but by just being Spider-Man. And Across the Spider-Verse reminds us, being Spider-Man sucks. It's a natural progression too, because although Miles carved out his own identity, the breaks of the job are inescapable. You're never on time. You get paid shit at your job to make being Spider-Man harder, if you can keep it. The ones closest to you either try to kill you, hate you, die, or worse. And even getting the job done usually results in loss. It's a big reason why the character resonates, and why we love him. And what this movie does with that aspect is absolutely incredible. In so many ways, you can't do them all justice in one video. It was so hard to organize and write just a few things without spoiling, but I did my absolute best. And if you still haven't seen it, get out of here, you idiot. Good? Okay. The movie wastes no time filling every single drop-dead, pasteliciously gorgeous frame with the ugliness that comes from putting on the mask. Gwen's worst day that jams from an emotional drum sesh to a cool, graceful Splatoon-type beat that is so addicting, to Miles' increasing inability to balance his responsibilities with personal and family time. But the movie makes a point to extend that personal struggle of putting on the mask to the loved ones. Jeff, Rio, Cap, and Stacy, all of them express their own insecurities about their abilities as parents. No matter how hard they try to do good by them, they still feel that they're pushing the ones they love, their kids, away. It's so cool to see that reflection. It fills the loved ones out. Not as footnotes in a Spider-Man story, but as sort of equals to Spider-Man. So you lay all this out. Then you put this guy in it. Shit. The man who has to put everything back together by letting it fall apart over and over and over again. No wonder he's like this. Like a reverse cipher from The Matrix, Miguel doesn't see Jeff's, Rio's, or Cap and Stacy's. He just sees numbers. Now, a lot of those out of whack. And in an uncertain multiverse that you've tasked yourself to fix, you want certainty to fix it. Canon events, as this movie calls them, usually bad things, as we've mentioned. But the way Miguel winds this out borders perfectly on understandable caution for everyone and a personal vendetta for what he did. In a way, his method of fixing the multiverse does reflect a defining trait of the character, sacrifice, but it completely conflicts with the other, doing what ought to be done. All of what Spider-Man has been clashes with what Miles could be, and it all comes back to him. In a movie with hundreds of thick, big, and cool as fuck Spider people, Miles remains the center. And in a movie that focuses on why being Spider-Man sucks, it can't get much worse for him until it keeps doing so. The balancing life part's hard enough. Doing the job well and still having it hurt you hurts the most. And the movie progressively punishes Miles for doing the job to an insane point where just being Spider-Man has consequences he couldn't have imagined when that spider bit him in the first film. And the way he comes face to face with these consequences goes from, hey, look at the funny hole guy, to, what? It is fuckery that rivals the greatest Peter Parker story put to film, and comes from Miles Morales doing what ought to be done. But the way this movie puts the loved ones of Gwen and Miles on their level, you can't help but root for them to do their own thing despite Miguel's warnings. Just because Miguel and so many other stories played out one way doesn't mean Miles has to do the same. Just because Peter B screwed up didn't mean he couldn't change. Sure, you don't know exactly what'll happen if Miles goes through with it, but you don't.
Like, what's up, danger?
And I cannot wait.
He took a bagel!
Alright, time to swing, just like I taught.
Miles, what the f?